As I recall, what we need to do for the verification of quorum is do a roll call. So, Tom Nathan,
Present.
Jim Barringham, Jim, are you with us?
He's not on the list of
Yeah,
attendees
he's
yet.
here. Jim.
Jim is here now, okay.
Yes, okay, I'm here.
Jeannie Odell
Here.
and Dale Welty, I don't think you're on, so we have 4 members out of 5 present, so we can start our meeting. And we'll look forward to Dale joining us as soon as he can. The next item of business is approval of the minutes. Do I have any comments on the minutes? Hearing no comments, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved?
Second.
I think that was Tom Nathan made the motion and Jim Barringham made the second.
Correct.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, sounds unanimous. Move on to the next item, public official comments. Darcy, I saw you flash by a minute ago. Do you have comments for us?
Yes, I do actually, Chris. Thank you. I have quite a few. So,
go ahead.
thank you. As it relates to COVID-19, Elsinore Valley activated our Emergency Operations Center on Friday, March 13th. And on March 26th, the board declared an official state of emergency. Shutoffs for non-payment have been paused until June 1st, at which time, if the crisis is continuing, we will readdress that and probably extend it. And currently—
Darcy, can I interrupt just for 1 minute?
Sure.
Dale is here, but Eric, you need to unmute him. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. So if someone was about to have their service shut off for non-payment, all those have been put on hold until June 1st. And staff is also currently working on different payment arrangement options, because we understand that if you probably didn't pay your bill because of non-payment, adding extra time is important, and making those payment arrangements affordable is also critical, especially now given potentially unemployment rates and other things like that. Because water is an essential service, all recommended precautions are in place. Our staff that is able to work remotely has been, and that number is over 60. Our operations staff is still manning the treatment plants, both water and wastewater, and they're using personal protection equipment in addition to what they are standardly using. Operators are in the field in our distribution and collection systems, and you will see them out in the streets. You may have received a phone call this evening related to a sewer inspection process that we're using with cameras, and I will tell you a little bit more about that and why it's important. Our crews have been divided up into smaller numbers, so you might see only 1 person in a pickup, and those crews are only working together. So if by chance someone does become ill, we minimize the impact and the exposure. Our lobby, like the POA, is closed for customers, but if you need assistance, we do have staff answering the phones during regular business hours. And if you need to do something special, like a large drop off of plans for a developer, we're making special arrangements for that. As it relates to water quality, as you may recall, a few months ago, staff came and gave you an update on PFOA and PFOS contaminants, and that the state was exploring lowering the levels of those constituents in drinking water. Those regulations did go into effect, and as you may know from that meeting, the level of Canyon Lake water as a source water exceeded those new requirements. So for the last few months, we've been doing a pilot test at the Canyon Lake treatment plant to find an inexpensive way to remove the constituent and meet the new guidelines. That pilot test was not successful. So as a result, currently the Canyon Lake treatment plant will remain offline. Normally we operate that treatment plant from April 1st through Halloween. So for this operational season, it will be shut off. And that means 2 things. That means we're going to need to purchase more expensive water, almost double the cost, to meet demands. And it also means that there's going to be more water remaining in the lake, which I know for many of us are very happy about that. It minimizes the impacts to residents and boaters in the East Bay, but it doesn't come cheap. And so we need to be prepared to look at the long term of what those financial implications are if we lose that source of water for an extended period and have to purchase the additional water from Metropolitan. This is not a long-term solution, and residents should expect that lake levels fluctuate based on conditions and demands. So we might have a reprieve this year, and I'm sure the rain is helping, but just realize that when that plant comes back online, water levels will lower. And finally, as of last week, our water flows into our wastewater treatment plants were up by 50%, which is a direct correlation to indoor water use is way up. So as people stay in place and work from home, they use more indoor water and then they flush. So please, please, no wipes in the pipes. And there's only 3 P's that go in the toilet: pee, poop, and toilet paper, which is now even more valuable than it was before. And because the flow is going up and we have had some sewer issues in the past, you're going to see crews out for the next 5 days inspecting the sewer lines, mostly on the southwest part of the city. And those crews will be using a camera system with some new technology to see if we can identify any type of clogging or deposit buildup before it becomes a problem. That's all I have, Vice President Poland or President Welty. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much. Dale, are you on?
Yes, I'm on now. It took me a minute to get log in. Thank you, Darcy. Any of the board members have any questions?
Yeah, just one question, Darcy. You may have said this and I didn't quite understand, but I understand that we're going to have to be buying more expensive water right now. When will that be reflected in our water bills?
So you won't see that reflected in the water bill until the next rate study. So what they do at that point is they look at all the sources we've used and how we've been able to use less expensive water, and they kind of pool it all together. So you will not see an immediate impact to rates. I will tell you that Metropolitan Water District is considering a significant rate increase in the next 2 weeks, which we have sent letters to, encouraging the board to delay that increase for at least a year until we can see what the economic impact is and also to see what demand is. They did their rate study prior to the new levels of the PFOA, PFOS going into effect, and what they had experienced was 40-year lows of water purchases. So now that more of us having to buy more imported water, that should actually help us out to minimize the rate impact that they're suggesting.
Thank you very much. So while we're not in a drought, it would do us all well to use as little bit of water as we can.
Absolutely.
We need to. Yes.
Always good to be efficient.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
We lose you, Dale? Your mouth is moving, but your lips, we don't hear sound.
I showed Dale as being muted.
I'm trying to unmute him here. Hold on.
Can you hear me yet?
Lynn, I heard you, yes. I
Okay.
don't know why Dale's still muted.
There I am. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Thank you, Darcy. Any more questions for Darcy? I see Randy Bonner out in the audience. Randy, do you have anything to say for the city? Okay. Okay, moving past Randy.
Hold on. Let me make sure he's not muted. He's not muted. Go ahead, Dale.
Okay, no more public official comments. We'll go on to the consent agenda. Does any board member want to pull any of the consent agenda items? Okay, no items being pulled. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a Second. Okay. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
5 in favor, motion carries.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the approval of the sanctioned clubs. Lynn, you're going to talk about some sanctioned clubs issues?
Yes, sir. So this is the approval of the revised sanctioned club activity group policy. We brought it to the board last month for a 28-day reading, and this month we're requesting approval. Okay, so let me go to that. I didn't realize you could see my screen. Let me go to that screen. Sorry. Keep going here. So like I said, last month we brought this to the board. Essentially what we had tried to do was update the policy to create the secondary group of clubs that were not the sanctioned clubs. And so now we're seeking approval on the action item. Apologies for the scrolling, trying to get to that board action item for you.
Lynn, I have a comment on it. If this is under general requirements for recognition as a CLPOA activity group, which is PDF page 87. Item D should be an item. It's still underneath.
I'm sorry, item D should be a what?
A separate item.
A separate item, okay.
Because the grouping is shall not include.
Let me get to that in my book. I'm sorry, can you repeat the page, Jeannie?
Okay, it's PDF 87.
Uh-huh.
And it's towards the bottom of the page where it says general requirements for recognition as a CLPOA activity group. And the heading is the objectives and purposes shall not include. And then item D talks about the 40% residents as the member group.
Yes,
as membership.
so the board
So that needs to be a separate item.
The board had previously discussed having the activity groups have a minimum membership requirement of 40% Canyon Lake residents. Are you requesting to pull that?
Right, that's not the problem.
Okay.
I'm indicating that it's under a header that it says shall not include any of the following.
Oh,
then it lists A, B, C, D.
Okay.
Yeah. It needs to be, you know, another item.
Sure.
Because it says not, and then it's.
Okay.
So Jeannie, what's the correction? Is it the not that you don't think is right, or I don't quite understand?
It should follow the same format as the sanctioned club approval procedure, where it becomes a separate item of its own. Because the way it reads is the objectives and purposes of any activity group desiring approval shall not include any of the following. And as part of the following, it says membership of any activity group shall at all times be composed of the 40% resident. So you can't say not above and then say it has to include 40%.
Okay, so A, B, and C should be subheadings 1, 2, 3. And then C, D, and E should be, is that what you're saying? Should be B, C, and D.
Something like that. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Just exactly like it is above under the sanctioned club.
Right.
Sure. We can correct that.
Okay, so we understand the corrections?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Lynn, anything else you'd like to say about the
Oh, no,
policy?
sorry, I was still looking for the action item.
All right.
So with that, yeah, like I said, it was a 28-day reading last month. I do not believe I have any member comments on this particular agenda item. I'm not sure if there's any members that were waiting in the queue to discuss the action item. But we were just seeking approval on the revised policy this month.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the policy with the correction as noted.
Have a second?
Second.
Member comments. Do we see anyone out there wanting to comment? Okay, I don't see any member comments.
Lynn, did you have some comments emailed to you?
Not on this particular item, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
At the bottom of the screen, there's also a chat box. If people want to click on that chat box real quick, if they want to make a comment, maybe we could alert Eric and they could get unmuted.
Yeah, and I don't have any right now, but I'll let you know if I do.
Okay. I'm just going to chat for a test. Just everyone see that?
Yep.
I said
Yes.
test. Okay.
Yes, I can see
All
the
right.
test.
So if you send an email in, just let us know, and we'll look for it and let you have some email comments. A little different world we're in. We're going to have to get used to it for a while. I think that's the way it's going to go. Okay, so we have a first and any further board comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
5 in favor. Oh. 5 in favor, motion carried.
Okay, now we're Carrie, you around? We're going to talk about the North Ski Lagoon Jump Club calendar request.
Okay, annually there are 3 Canyon Lake ski clubs that ask to reserve the main lake and North Ski Jump Lagoon areas for practices, events, and competitions. This isn't on there, but last month the board sent us back to the change it to, what's it on? 1 weekend per month from September to May or April. So this is the new calendar. Lynn, if you can scroll down a little bit. That we are putting forth for approval.
I just kind of want to give a heads up to everyone. The calendars that we've been setting of late have been changing on a kind of regular basis due to the city's ordinances and the state decrees and the different requirements. Well, we're going to try to set an agenda in the calendar. There's a good chance that, it could change, not because we want to disregard what you're trying to do, but we are being given directions by the state and the local authorities, and we're gonna go along with whatever they tell us. So,
I have a question, Dale. The red dates are blacked out for any events. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir. So prior board policy was no events Memorial Day to Labor Day.
that's so individual members could go use the lake.
So in a nutshell, without scrolling through the whole calendar, the ski club requested 2 dates in May and October, and the wakeboard club requested 2 dates in April and September. As Dale mentioned, these were all tentative based on if we can continue to host the event. And then if I could add on to Carrie, so in addition to the calendar itself, also attached are the rule variances that would be requested to host these events.
I have a question about what's on the screen right now.
Yes, sir.
Is that, I don't quite understand this. The second paragraph says, based on last year's approval, the following rules will need to be approval for the upcoming calendar request. I don't understand.
My
These are
apologies,
all
that
of our
should be,
rules.
so they are variances to the rules to allow these activities to occur in the various, so the ski show for Fiesta Day, some of the the activities themselves are rule exceptions. And so similar to the Fiesta Day variance, we have created this variance list of rules to include with this action item. So that way we can allow those groups to host their activities and not be in violation.
Chris, I think what you're saying is that it should say the following rules exceptions will need to.
Yes, sir, that's a typo. It should say the following rules exceptions.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I did receive a member email. I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
I'll just make a motion that we approve the calendar for 2020 as submitted by the staff.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have some comments. Lynn, you have some emails. I have some comments on the chat room. Why don't we go with your emails first?
Okay, so my email is from Craig Brown. I'm not sure if he's also online if he wanted to read it off, or I could read off his email. I believe he's on the chat session. So originally we had asked the members to submit an email, not knowing if we were going to have the chat option open. So
Craig says you can read it, yeah.
Okay, so says board, I would like to request the board to consider allowing 2 weekends a month during May, September, and October due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We certainly won't be able to host any events in April, and chances are we won't be able to host the May event, but at least that gives both our clubs a couple of events in the later months to be able to provide fun for the community. This would only apply to the 2020 season, of course. I would also like to propose we reevaluate the process to closures, whether they be, as Tom suggests, once a month outside the prime months, or we allow closures for the entire summer as was originally proposed by Tom as well. This is regarding last month's conversation. I would suggest we take a pulse of the community and ask if the community as a whole would rather the area be closed once a month from April to October, or stacked closures toward the beginning and ends of the prime season as they were in previous years. If we all work together with the community, we can accomplish more and have set guidelines for years to come, rather than constant change due to the unknown of what may be brought up at board meetings prior to the approval of the calendar that's usually submitted months prior. Thank you for all that you do on your unappreciated daily basis. Craig Brown.
This is an email that we all got over the weekend on Friday night. Couple things, Craig says that in the email that I suggested at last meeting that we allow summertime, which is not what I suggested. The policy, and I confirm the policy, is that we are not going to close the lake in the middle of Memorial Day to Labor Day. And then the objective of this motion last month was to try and reduce the cluster of closures that was happening, and the number of closures, especially at the year end. And what Craig again suggests in this email, to allow twice per month on weekends, will create the same environment. We have a period of 5 weeks where there would be 4 weekend closures in a row, and that's not in the best interest of the general membership. We have 4,800 members, of which there are 15 property owners in a wakeboard club, and there's 60 property owners out of a ski club. And granted, they're all members of the association, but they pale in comparison to the entire community. And we have to think about how we have a season from mid-April to mid-October that's probably 52 days, and we're allowing 8 days to be closed, which is almost 1 out of every 6 days in the community that area will be closed. I think that's a pretty reasonable number. And given the idea that we have 2 different specifics in that particular body of water, the solemn course that nobody can use anywhere else, and now wake enhancement that nobody can do anywhere else in that area, this seems like it's a reasonable practice to allow closures. I think it's a reasonable number of closures, and I think we should continue with this as an established policy.
We have a chat from Michael Balzaldua. He basically says, why are the 3 months all in red? I think Chris answered that question. So we'll kind of let that one
Yeah.
go. It's basically, the red months are for the general membership. They're not closed to the general membership. They're closed to events. So don't think that the course is closed. It's just closed for events. So
I think we have an
The board had made
understanding
a
that
previous,
COVID-19
the
is
board had,
going to
oh, go ahead.
say, I think
Sorry.
COVID-19 is affecting everything. You know, we have Easter egg hunts this week that aren't going to happen. We have lots of things, member events and community events, concerts and things that are all being impacted and not going to be able to be rescheduled. So this is a unique season and a unique year. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, to take more days away from the membership simply because we're trying to award closures doesn't make a lot of sense for the membership either.
just a comment would be, I think because we don't know when it's going to open back up, it's difficult for us to reschedule anything. I think when we get some sort of direction on when we can do these events, then we can look at rescheduling. But if we reschedule on what may happen at this point, we will be rescheduling the whole community every day. And until we get some history or some predictability in the future, I think we just stay with what we have. I mean, it's clear that we are going to have to adjust schedules in the future. So
everybody,
yeah. So at least for now, we have a schedule. We move ahead with it, and as people lose dates, we can take a look at the picture on a whole. We only maybe get 3 months a season for the whole community this year. We don't know. So
it could go through the fall. You know, at this point, we really don't know what's going to happen. We all hope that it's going to be back to business as usual, but unknown. This is uncharted territory.
Yeah. So I think my opinion is we stay with what we have, and after we get some sort of direction, then we can come back and revisit.
And I mean, I think that there are other ideas too. I mean, this is imagine an environment where pickleball and tennis were trying to share the same place, and you know that would be a very difficult environment. I think we have a large enough body of water in the North Ski area that we should be investigating maybe creating a separate area behind the slalom course that we can provide the opportunity to have maybe only half the area closed and still offer the members the ability to use the second half. And you know, those are all things that we can do in the future, not for tonight's discussion. You know, we're just trying to approve the calendar for this year, but definitely things the board can work on in the future.
Can I ask a quick question? Have we considered during the closure months between Memorial Day and Labor Day, possibly during the week events?
That'd be another possibility. I think weekdays are far more reasonable to try and provide something. And you know, a lot of times afternoons are so unencumbered that you don't even really need a closure. You can just show up and it's wide open.
Stays light pretty late in the summer also.
So that might be something we could consider, that if some of these events need to be rescheduled, we could look at scheduling them during the week, not on the weekend.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. I mean, the ski club has had learn to ski days and Wednesday and Thursday afternoons in the past, and they've worked well.
Okay.
So
do I have a motion then? I think we're close.
Motion and a second already.
First and a second.
Second. Oh, we have a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? 5 in favor, motion carries.
And can I just say one thing?
Sure.
There was a comment that came up on the chat box that said, can we revisit this? And of course, we can always revisit it. The board has the option to do that. There's been some suggestions made, and it's a tricky balance for us, but let's hear the suggestions.
Yes, we will. We'll revisit. We have to revisit literally everything on the calendar, so we can take a look at this. So, okay. So we have Joe Comation is making some comments. We'll talk about those a little bit later in general comments.
Is Sean on the meeting with us right now for legal?
He was. Sean, are you there?
Or Teresa? Are they both there or just Sean?
Sean, are you there? I just unmuted his 619 number, so. Sean Kane, are you there?
Or Teresa? Are we moving on to the next agenda?
Yes,
item?
I'm here.
Okay,
Hi, Sean.
I think this has to
Hi.
do that. That's what we're waiting for. The
Okay.
approval of emergency rule revisions for the golf course.
Right.
And the board will discuss this. Chris, do you want to open up the discussion on this?
Sure, I'd be glad to. The COVID-19 crisis has caused things to change around here very rapidly. We've had to close our golf course. We've also been encouraged to get outside and exercise when we can. Our golf course is being taken care of, and it's in beautiful condition. It seemed that then there's been some conversation that it would be nice if we could be permitted to walk on the golf course and take our pets. Those are some of the requests that I've received. When you look at our golf course rules 310 and 311, it says no pets, and it says only authorized persons allowed on the golf course or the cart pass, which is very important. Those rules were set in place both for safety and to preserve the integrity of the playing surfaces. Since our golf course is closed and we need to exercise as much social distancing as possible, and we have a very large area that's really pretty much a park right now, it struck us that it was important that we make an exception or a temporary change in this rule, in these two rules that allow people to walk on the golf course as long as it's closed, to be able to take the dogs with them on leash as long as they clean up after them, and to drive their golf carts. And there would be conversation about this, but this is what the proposal is. There is a resolution that is now scrolling up right now that summarizes the things that I've just said. Again, the idea here is that we are responsible owners of a very, very wonderful amenity. It's the most valuable amenity that we have. I'm sitting right now on hole 14 where I have a view of like 6 holes of the golf course, and I've been watching people drive their golf carts and walk their dogs. And in all cases, they've been taking care of our golf course, and there's been no really any incident out there of concern. So it struck me that it would be good to waive this rule. Now, we've run into one bit of a snag, and that is Riverside County has issued an order that says that the golf courses have to remain closed and can't be used except to be maintained. And one of the things that we asked Sean to do is to comment on that and see if there was some way we could interpret that rule, if we'd be permitted to interpret that rule to allow ourselves to walk on this golf course. So just in the spirit of getting the discussion started officially, I'd like to move passage of this temporary rule revision as listed in this resolution, contingent on approval from Riverside County Public Health that we can do this.
Thank you, Chris, for teeing that issue up, and you did so splendidly. So we don't have any issue with it, provided that Riverside County doesn't. So I think the way that you worded the resolution is perfect. It would be contingent on the County of Riverside permitting Canyon Lake to allow this to happen. Hopefully they do, and if they don't, then we have to go with what the government says in this instance.
And if you could scroll down to the 3 recommendations of the
Yes,
resolution, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Did we have a second?
No, I don't think we had a second yet.
Okay,
Go
ahead.
I'm trying to see if Jeannie's on. Is she muted?
Could you give a
Eric, do you know-
second, please, just so we're official?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want me to continue scrolling down further in the policy, sir?
Yeah, just so those the
Sure.
3 revisions show. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I did
member,
also receive a couple member comments. Oh, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
oh, it's okay. Bob Whiteside's requested to be unmuted. Eric, can you see his?
Yeah, hang on one sec.
And then I did receive another member email. I'm not sure if she's attending or if she wants me to read her email from Renee Griffith.
Sorry, I gotta find every name individually. Here we go. Okay, Bob, you're unmuted.
Okay, thanks. I'm on. I type very slow. Okay, on the walking on the golf course, right now, we've allowed it. I understand the reason. But it's been suggested that this be allowed once a month when the golf course is closed. And there's been many comments or actually reasons that have been put forth, suggested reasons why it's not a good idea. Those reasons still exist today. There's no difference. And we've already let the course, as it's been closed, I think about 20 days consecutively. So it's been used, and if we continue to use it, it'd be an undetermined amount of time. Now, I don't see the logic at all in how that could be done, and there's still reasons that are said that it's not a good idea, and because of, and there's a number of, like I said, suggested reasons why it would be a bad idea to do that. Yet today, we're suggesting that we make a temporary change, allowing it to be done until the closure ban is lifted. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would that, well, under one, it's the same logic that could be used, and it's contradictory. What are the reasons? Why, if it's good for 100 days, then why wouldn't it be good for 1 day per month when the golf course is closed the same way, and it wouldn't allow carts, and it wouldn't allow dogs, and it wouldn't allow skateboards, bicycles. In fact, everything, 2 things at least more than we're allowing right now. And if you've seen it, Chris, if you've seen from your backyard, you've seen everyone that, as best you can tell, complying and not doing any damage to the environment of our golf course, then why couldn't that be true? It's only for 1 day per month. It'd be 12 days of the year, and that leaves 353 days for the golfers and the rest of the citizens that don't golf, or maybe they do golf. Golfers, all could be included. Golfers, tennis people, pickleball, doesn't matter. But all members, once a month. Can you explain to me why there would be a different set of rules that would apply there?
Well, Bob, we're not really supposed to engage in conversation over this stuff, but let me just offer a couple of simple comments. The first comment is this is about what we're doing today, given this incredibly different environment that we're in. And I think we're going to learn to live differently after this. Just take that for what it's worth. Secondly, I don't see why what we have decided in the past which involves people on the golf course doing the maintenance, tree trimming, all the other things that are going on, using that as a reason not to accept this. So again, we can't do a discussion, but I just wanted to honor you with a couple of statements.
Okay, I understand that we can't do the discussion. I just wanted you to ponder the thought when you think about the logic there, and it has to be, you have to see a contradiction. Oh, well, I mean, you don't have to, but that's my opinion. I can't see how you could possibly use reason that you'd see any difference. And it wouldn't be just tree trimming and maintenance.
Okay, Bob, thank you. This is an opportunity to, I know you've wanted to see this for a while, and I appreciate that. And this may be a chance for us to take a look and see how it works when we allow the people walking. And I think we should watch this and see how it works out, see if some of the problems that were predicted do or don't happen, and then maybe we come back and revisit your concerns on a different vote. But that's not on this vote. This is just kind of the COVID emergency rule. Once this goes through, maybe the experience is so wonderful that maybe we reconsider a more permanent rule for at certain times for the course.
That's a splendid idea. I think we should. This is a good test.
Okay.
Thank you. Over and out.
Right.
Thanks, Bob.
This is pretty easy. Go ahead and just read what I sent over.
You see how many?
Oh, do you want to read what you had sent over, Renee?
Yeah, I can go ahead and read it. I've been unmuted, so I can go ahead and do that. Is that all right?
I'll do this.
All right.
I think Bob's done it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll read verbatim because it'll make it a lot more succinct. I do believe, and I would love to see the golf course open for walking, since exercise is one of the exceptions for us to be able to step out of our home. With regards to bringing the dog, I have a dog. I'm a dog lover. My concern is I go to dog-friendly parks here, and even though there's bags readily available, people do not pick up after their dogs. Well, I don't know if they're not paying attention, which is a concern because the dog should be leashed, or they're too lazy to pick it up. So I'm concerned that there would just be more opportunities for people not to pick up after their animals when there's not dog bags readily available like they are at the park. So that'll be up to you guys on the dogs, although I do love dogs, but I'm just concerned about seeing dog poop everywhere because it freaks me out. With regards to the golf cart, well, I would also love the scenic route of driving my golf cart. We do have 37 miles worth of road within Canyon Lake. And my concern about the golf carts being on there, it is not technically one of the reasons for us to be able to go out of our homes according to the mandate. So my concern would be that we would be potentially in violation because we're out doing a joyride versus essential exercise, that walking or jogging would be on the golf course. If the board does decide to allow people to take their golf carts out for a ride, I would suggest that there be some sort of limitation or a rule that they can't have golf clubs with them, because I see that there would be temptation for someone to tee off, because I've already seen that happen during this time when no one's supposed to be on it. And that would be something that would need to be addressed, whether it's a stiff penalty or fine or citation. But if there's someone driving by from another city and they see someone out there golfing, it will not look good for the city, and they could send someone in and just shut it all down, and then everyone loses. So that's my thoughts on, that's my thoughts on everything. So thank you. Look forward to hearing your decision.
Thanks, Renee.
Okay, any more board comments?
Actually, yes, I have one. I kind of support what Renee just said. It does make sense to open the course for walking, but if we're going to open it for dogs, why wouldn't we allow people to walk dogs to other parks that are currently not dog friendly, on the leash, of course? And then, so if we're going to allow people to walk their dogs on a golf course, I think we ought to allow people to walk their dogs in other parks as well. But it does make more sense to not allow dogs or golf carts on the golf course. And then my second comment is, I think under recommendation, there needs to be an ending date. My understanding is 120 days for an emergency order. So I think it ought to be 120 days or after the county or city revocation of the stay-at-home order. And I think that's it.
So do you want to make a subsidiary motion?
I would like to make a subsidiary motion. I move to revise this golf course rule revision to only include walking on the golf paths, and to modify the recommendation to say ending within 120 days or the county city revocation of stay-at-home order.
Do you have anything about the parks for the dogs? You said something.
Oh, sure, yes. If we do keep the dogs in here, then I think we ought to open up some of the other parks to allow dogs to be walked.
But your motion is only walking, right? It doesn't include dogs or golf carts. Your subsidiary motion?
That's my actual motion, is just for walking only.
Okay, so we need a second to that, Dale.
Do I have a second for Jeannie's motion? I'll make a second.
So let me make sure we're clear. If we approve this motion, that would mean walking only on the golf course, no dogs, no golf carts, and what we discussed previously about dogs in parks also would not change. Dogs would still not be allowed in parks.
Correct.
Jeannie, I thought you said dogs should be allowed in parks.
No, I'm just saying, I said if we're allowing dogs at the golf course, then we should allow dogs in other parks. But my actual motion is for no dogs and no golf carts at the golf course. For
So that's
walking.
what I'm understanding, I think, is that if the subsidiary motion passes, we don't need to talk about parks. But if the subsidiary motion fails, then you're going to want to add dogs at the Canyon Lake parks in addition to the golf course.
Correct.
Any comments on the, further comments on the subsidiary motion?
I find it compelling that if people want to drive their golf carts and enjoy the outdoors, they can do that on our 37 miles of streets. So I understand that. It certainly is safer for people walking on the golf course if there's not golf carts coming around. So I don't have an issue with the golf carts. Dogs are difficult because you see a lot of people taking very good care of their dogs, and once in a while you see dogs that are loose. I, for one, would like to trust the people of Canyon Lake to do what's right. But without having the stations that provide the bags, as Renee has suggested, I find that also a compelling argument. So I can support the subsidiary motion.
Okay.
So we
All
have
in
a first
favor of
and
the
second?
subsidiary motion?
So we have a first and second, correct?
We do have a first and second.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
All opposed?
5 in favor, subsidiary motion carried.
Okay. All right. We have an approval of emergency rule to allow holiday decorations. Anyone like to
Do you
talk
want me to
about
do
that?
this one? Or? Oh. Do you want me to do this one, Mr. President? Or I drafted the
Sure.
board
Yeah,
action
sure. You
item.
can do it,
Okay.
Lynn. I know usually there's a
Okay.
name attached, but okay.
It was me that drafted the report. So we received several requests about this, members wanting to create some community support. And so due to the COVID-19 crisis, staff is requesting the board of directors temporarily remove the following rule from the rules and regulations in regards to holiday decorations. So I just attached the current PC 4.24 rule that we're asking that we temporarily remove this effective today until, since it's an emergency rule, it'd be 120 days or until the crisis is ended. And here's the rule revision. And I do not, oh, I do have a member comment on this once we have a first and a second.
Do we have a motion? So do we have a motion on the holiday decoration rule to allow the holiday decorations?
I move approval of the recommendation that we temporarily remove the holiday decoration limitation, PC 4.24.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Do we have any member comments?
I did receive an email from Travis Montgomery. I'm not sure if he's attending and wants to speak.
Looking at the chat, I see one that says sound like fun idea, and another one says I don't think Christmas decorations are appropriate. So I'm sure we're going to have division in this. We've called it holiday decorations. I think just spirit or just general decorations around the outside of the house to bring cheer to the community is a positive thing. Whether it be Halloween, Easter, Valentine's Day, pick your holiday. We got Memorial Day coming up, so we can go red, white, and blue. I think it can't hurt to provide a pleasing environment for people to look at.
And I don't have a problem. I just think, once again, under the recommendation that there should be an ending date, that the decorations have to be removed within so many days, whatever people think are revocation of the stay-at-home order.
Absolutely agree.
Are you making a subsidiary motion?
Okay, I guess that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? I have some comments on the chat. Some people say, again, it looks like fun. Other people say it doesn't look like fun, but that's about it.
Do you want me to read Mr. Montgomery's email, or the board?
Yes,
receive
please.
it?
Yeah, go ahead and read.
Read it? Okay.
I'm
It says
sure
members of the POA board.
people are probably concerned about the holiday decorations not coming down after we're done. And so, we can be firm about the idea that if they don't come down, that citations will be issued. We're trying to provide an opportunity to do something out of the ordinary, but at the same time, when we go back to regular business, that'll mean ordinary business where you don't have decorations hanging on your house all year long.
Just want to remind us that it's already built into our regulations that the emergency rules that we passed are only good for 120 days. Then they automatically terminate. We go back to the old rules. So what you said, Tom, is going to happen automatically.
Right.
And Chris, I understand that, but I think we ought to give them so many days after the stay-at-home orders are removed to actually remove their decorations. I mean, we can't expect it's going to happen the same day.
Correct. They would get a notification letter from the POA that they need to take down the decorations, and there would be a notice.
Yeah, we'll have a date that the rule will terminate, like Chris said, and maybe we can instill some grace period that says that we won't start enforcing fines until 7 days after that date or something like that.
That sounds very good to me.
Okay. So we feel like we have a consensus subsidiary motion.
Did you still want me to read the member comments, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Members of the POA board, this is from Travis Montgomery. It is my understanding there will be an agenda item for April 7, 2020 at POA board meeting that will deal with Christmas holiday decoration on residents during the coronavirus pandemic. I fully support a waiver of the rule regarding when holiday decorations can be displayed, allowing for such decorations as long as the federal, state, or local governments have declared an emergency requiring citizens to stay inside and avoid public gatherings. You come up with the legalese, but you know the intent. I installed a string of lights on my home this morning and a Christmas wreath, taking my chances I will not be cited for doing so. A couple of people walking by said they wanted to do the same, but were afraid the POA would issue them a citation. This is already being done in adjacent communities, as has been reported in the press enterprise. In driving through Canyon Lake this evening, there are 20 properties taking the same chance I am and had holiday decorations on their home. I encourage you to take the steps necessary to allow this happen in Canyon Lake immediately. Please submit this letter at the time of the agenda for discussion, inasmuch as residents will not be allowed to attend the meeting. Thank you for your consideration, Travis Montgomery.
Nice. Any more board comments? And so, Lynn, can you read back the motion as it stands?
Yes.
Please repeat the
revised
subsidiary motion as we have it.
this. Oh, yes. So I have that it was subsidiary motion was to approve revised to end within 120 days or county stay-at-home order.
Okay, thank you.
And wait, and then and decorations are to be removed within 7 days after the ending of the order.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Any more board comment then? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Any opposed? 5 in favor, subsidiary motion carried.
Okay, we're on to 5.5. Steve, this is you. Reserve funding for Indian Beach dock replacement.
Yes, can everybody hear me?
You sound good. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so in 2004, 2005, the association removed the aging dock at Indian Beach without replacing it. This was due to the EVMWD pump station project that happened there at Indian Beach. It was requested by the members and committees to place a new dock at Indian Beach. We'll also be installing a concrete walkway from our newly renovated parking lot to the new dock. In February 2020, the association was approved by EVMWD to construct the new dock at Indian Beach Park. This dock will also be used to mount our new radar unit for a further line of sight distance in East Bay. There's a typo here on actually both my board action items, kind of for under fiscal impact. It's not a change order, it's actually project total for $34,550 from reserve replacement 02670. Staff requests the board of directors approve the funding of $34,550 plus a 5% contingency from the repair and replacement 02670 for the new dock at Indian Beach.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, do we have any member comments? I don't see any member comments or chat, so any board comments?
Yes, I do have one board comment for Steve. I just need clarification on the funding source because we do call it a new dock and a new sidewalk. And I understand that a portion of the dock is possibly a replacement. So should it be split funded between repair and replacement and capital improvement?
So that's a good question, Jenny. And actually, I kind of fought with this when drafting this BAI. There is, I do have a line item for the new sidewalk, which I could break out to or amend this to a CIP fund. I can bring that total up if you give me one quick minute.
But aren't we also lengthening the dock? It's not a one-for-one replacement, isn't it? Isn't it a larger dock or larger dock?
I don't have the original square footage, so it's really hard for me to tell. I'm
Okay.
going off of 2004 Google images.
Okay.
The square footage I feel is about a wash, but without the specifications of the original dock, I can't tell you for certain.
Okay. I'll let you find the sidewalk cost.
I have a question, Dale.
Sure.
Steve, we've got about, it looks like about 70 feet or so of 4-foot wide walkway with no railings. That strikes me as being a little long and a little narrow. Is that common? And is that,
So
it seems like a 6-foot walkway would be a much safer thing to have.
So we could, to answer Director Jeannie's question, the sidewalk cost is $4,600, and that's for 4-foot sidewalks. And that, Chris, is at grade for the beach. There's no railing on it. I could go back and get a change order for a 6-foot sidewalk, but I would like to request that the directors up my contingency.
Just to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying is I was concerned about the fixed ramp and the variable ramp because I believe those are bridges.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I think it's the walkway.
I'm not worried about the sidewalk on the sand. That,
Okay.
you know, if somebody steps off that, doesn't matter.
Right. So we could up it to a 5-foot. 6-foot is not really typical of what we install.
Okay. So is there any code requirement when you have something that's this long that it be a certain width, or is this perfectly legal?
No, this is perfectly legal.
Okay.
According to who?
Most
Carol, do
88
you
is
have a
5
comment?
feet, so I think if we do a 5-foot, I think that would be reasonable. Isn't 5 feet ADA?
I have to double check on that, but I have no problem going back and upping this to a 5-foot.
Let's make it ADA width and just, whatever. If ADA is 5, then make it 5. ADA is 6, then make it 6.
Steve, does the ramp have floats on it?
The end of the ramp has a float on it. There's what you call a bridge that is 36-foot bridge that's fixed at both ends.
Right.
And the float the ramp would have a float at the dock end.
So I'm remembering from ESA that their floats are either 4 feet wide or 6 feet wide. So I don't know if they make a 5-foot wide float that you would put on the end of a 5-foot wide ramp.
Right.
So if we have to go to 6 feet, you want us to up your contingency or you want to go get a new price?
I would like to actually keep the project going if we can up my contingency. We've never installed a 6-foot wide ramp. The widest we've ever installed for ADA and the POA is 5-foot wide.
And I think the floats are you can order them 5 feet. I mean, it's not their common stock, but if we needed to get one at 5 feet, we could
Right.
probably do that.
Right.
Would you like a 10% contingency?
I like 10% contingency, and if my bid comes back more than that, I'll come back to the board for more funds.
How about a 15% contingency so we don't have to come back? So.
Yeah, I just, from what I remember talking to ESA, is if he has to order something special, he has to order 20 of them. So he might, have to charge more money just because of the uniqueness of the size of the float. 15%, I think, would be good, just to be safe.
Okay, so I would like to make a subsidiary motion to approve the 34,550 plus a 15% contingency. Of the 34,550, 4,600 for the new sidewalk is to be funded from our CIP, and the remaining balance is to be funded from repair and replacement.
Second.
5-foot walk in there, Jeannie?
I was going to leave that up to Steve, but yes, whatever is he can get for that 15% contingency, whatever's the best.
Oh, I don't want a contingent on.
Okay, well, then make a subsidiary to my subsidiary. Go for it.
Well, you got to get a second first.
I got it.
I'll second.
Okay, I'd like to make a subsidiary motion that we approve the 34,550 requests for the Indian Beach dock replacement, the sidewalk portion to come from capital improvement, the balance of it to come from the reserve funding, and that the bridge and the floating and the 2 ramps be 5 feet wide. So, or whatever is required to be ADA compliant.
And you want to leave the contingency at 5%?
No, contingency at 15%. Didn't get to that part. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I can second that.
Any more comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'm in favor. Subsidiary motion carried.
Okay, we're on to 5.6, the approval of the CIP funding for design consulting firm for Sierra Park North pump track.
So in April 2018, the board of directors approved to move forward with exploring Sierra Park North for a new POA park with pump track. In October of 2018, the POA hired a consultant to come up with a preliminary park design. Over the next year, a consultant came up with a preliminary design. Then input was given from staff and the Recreation and Facilities Committee. December of 2019, POA staff, our consultant and engineers met with the city for permitting requirements. We are now at the point for a full design, which we can submit to the city and receive bids for a large new park project. Time estimate for completion to have a complete construction and bid set is 60 days. Again, there's a typo here. That should be the total consultant fee is $88,690. That's to come from the CIP fund 05670. Staff recommends that the board of directors approve the funding of $88,690 from the CIP fund 05670 for the design consultant services of Sierra Park North and pump track project.
Oh, let's see. Any questions for Steve? I guess my question is, were we able to get the pump track itself into the first phase?
Pump track is in the first phase. I believe in your board books, you'll find the, you should have a phasing cost
I
breakdown.
believe there's a clear delineation about the phases in the board package.
Chris, can you repeat your question?
I just made a comment. I said, I don't believe that there's a clear delineation of the phases in the board package. I did want to say, though, if I could, that I very much appreciate receiving the conceptual drawings that have been developed, and I support going ahead with the design because this is something that our community wants to do. I also appreciate the preliminary cost estimates so that we understand what we're walking toward. And my only question to you, Steve, is that these, I assume, it should be a question. Have these drawings been reviewed and comments offered from the Recreation Committee and the Facility Planning Committee?
Yes, both committees have seen these drawings and commented on the preliminary drawings. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
And I also want to compliment Steve. This is the type of proposal I love seeing. It's very detailed, it's broken down, and all questions are answered in the proposal itself. So thank you.
Chris, back to your question. You had a question on the phasing, or?
I do see the column now in the budget estimate that has the phases indicated.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
I'd just like to say that I am totally in support of this pump track. I am concerned about any artificial phasing that we do to keep the expenditure under the limit that we have under our bylaws. I think that that was put in there for good reason. This is a project that exceeds that. And I think that it should be submitted to the community after we get the cost test, after we get the completed drawings. I appreciate that needs to be done. We need to have construction estimates so we know what we're doing. But I do believe that we should not allow ourselves to move forward on this in an artificial breakdown so that we stay underneath that $800,000 limit.
Lynn, one of the comments is about sharing the drawing that's on the paperwork. Can you scroll to the screen that has that?
I encourage every member that's viewing this to go and look at the agenda. It's on the agenda.
Which drawing, sir?
Sorry, you guys, that's my dog.
You want to tell me when to stop, please?
There you go. So Steve, just for everybody who's watching, could you sort of point out, maybe for reference, like where Vacation Drive is in this drawing?
So Vacation Drive, Lynn, if you scroll down just a little bit, is on the very bottom left. That would be the driveway entrance in.
Whoever's doing that with papers, we can all hear you.
Oops,
Yeah.
Feeding her dogs.
you got it.
I did that before 6.
I tried.
So with that,
Sorry, Eric.
there'd be parking and a turnaround, drop-off turnaround down below. Restrooms, and it's you'd have to zoom in a little bit, but there's a key on the right-hand side, but there's restrooms. There's a playground area, a tot lot, covered picnic area. Up above that is a pump track. In this picture, there's a big number 2 over where the pump track is. And there'd be this walking path coming up to the pump track. There's a shade structure right there adjacent to the pump track where people that want to take a break from the pump track, or it's a parent watching from the pump track with some bleachers could watch there. going towards, I'm going to mess this name up. I believe it's Giant Tree. I forgot the cul-de-sac. That's
Giant Fir.
Giant Fir.
Giant Fir. Up on the right-hand corner there. There'd be access from that cul-de-sac as well. However, only walking or pedestrian pedaled bicycles or whatnot, but not drive-through traffic.
Steve, this is Chris. Just for clarification, on page 136 of our package, which I failed to remember was there, it delineates the 3 phases. The bicycle pump track is in phase 2. In the cost estimate, the bicycle track, I believe, is listed in phase 1. The way this is set up, we will not have a pump track with just phase 1. We need phase 1 and 2. Is that correct?
Give me one second, Chris. I'm scrolling to that. Said 136.
136, yeah. On 136, it shows phase 2, and the bicycle pump track is the first bullet.
Correct. The engineer on his cost or his phasing put the bicycle pump track at phase 2.
Steve, I appreciate the phasing. I would like to see if we could rephase that and get the pump track itself into phase 1.
Okay.
I mean, that's really the goal. I know we have some retaining walls that aren't close to the park, and we have some that we could possibly put in later, even if it's easier to do it now, all those walls, maybe we need to get the pump track in and get something usable as soon, and we'll maybe have to deal with the other stuff later. So when we work with the design team, let's work a way to get that pump track in phase 1. That's my goal.
That's definitely doable.
Okay, if that's doable, I think this is a great way to go, and we can work through this. Because their initial goal is to get the pump track in the beginning, at least from where I came from, and the initial goal was to get the pump track in, and then have the rest of the park coordinated so when we put it in, it was properly located. I think we can do that, and I'd sure like to see that done early in the process, in the design process.
So Steve, I assume the design team, when they put together those construction documents so that we go for our permitting, they will delineate what's in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, so the permitting agencies will understand what we're doing, what's going to be committed to initially, and then what will follow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Steve, there's a comment in the chat section that says, I'll just read, it says, who's seen these drawings? I've worked in the action sports industry for 27 years. Who signed off on these? I know we have a lot of different contractors doing different phases. I'm assuming that the person is probably focused on the actual pump track itself. Do we have the name of the consultant or the person that we use to design this?
For the pump track itself?
Yes.
I just a comment. I watched it as it went through the recreation committee. It went through the facilities planning committee, and it also went in front of the finance committee. The recreation committee was the primary one that was kind of working on the design and what would work for the kids, because that's what they do, is the rec, and they blessed it. And then it went to the facilities planning committee, and they basically looked at the structures and they blessed it. in what they thought of it was the overall plan. And the finance committee also took a look at it. So it's been through a number of reviews. And I think there was a members of the community also. I think we had a public meeting where the members were able to come in and see it. And I think we got some support for that too.
Tom, to answer your question, it's American Ramp Company is the one that did the pump track design.
Well, that was John who asked that question. If you have any more questions, John, you could keep chatting in, but hopefully that answers the question you had.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we approve change order totaling $88,690 from the Capital Improvement Fund for the for development of construction documents for the pump track, with the understanding that the construction documents will clearly show the 3 phases of construction and that the bicycle pump track will be included in phase 1.
Second.
Any more board comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No.
5 in favor, motion carries.
Yes. All right, we're on to member comments on non-personnel issues. This is going to be a little different. We generally have a 3-minute timer. You can, at this point, I think it's okay if you email in. If you want us to read your email, that would be fine as long as it's a 3-minute read. If you want to put a quick note in the chat, we can try to follow that. And otherwise, you can chat in and ask to go on mute. So if you want to chat in and say, hey, this is Steve Schneider, can you unmute my mic? I think we can try to do that and give you 3 minutes.
I have a comment from Mike, and I'm just going to let him say it if I can find him in here. Michael, where'd you go, Michael? Sorry, I can't see the whole list of everybody at once, so I have to go through.
While you're searching, Eric, there is, I think it might be the same one, Michael Bazaldua.
Yeah. Michael, you're unmuted. You go ahead and make your statement if you like.
Yes, I've been putting on the Canyon Lake community watches and all the Facebook pages, and I've been getting a lot of feedback from other residents in the community. And the people that are concerned are a lot of people that are out of work right now that are pretty much that are not quote unquote non-essential, and everybody has to be home because they don't have a job that requires them to be, on the field. So they're home, and now they're collecting unemployment. Some probably didn't save money for their mortgages or pay their bills, and yet we're still being charged for POA dues. And then we are losing a lot of amenities at the same time. Now, is there any way of reducing, not saying not charge us, but reduce the fees, and also more importantly, the increase that's going to be happening next month?
Thank you for your comments. Michael, the trouble is this is not an agenda item, so the board is very limited in what they can comment. So when you hear the silence, it's not, not that we don't hear you, it's just by the rules, because it's not on the agenda, we can't provide a lot of feedback. I suspect some of the board members at the end, when they do their closing statements, may address some of these issues. So anyway, thank you for your comment. And I just want to let you know, we're not trying to disregard.
Eric, you might be able to point out the recent post by the POA regarding that.
I have it up right now, and I was ready to say that we have made some social media posts, and we've also put in our last Friday newsletter. We'll do it again this Friday. That as this situation continues to affect our economy, we're committed to offer assistance to members that are trying to navigate their way through sudden and unexpected changes in income. If you're experiencing financial difficulties, we may be able to tailor a payment deferral program for you. to help you through this time. For more information, please contact our accounting department. It's our normal POA number 244-6841, extension 315. And so we can and we are able to tailor payment deferral programs for people. We can't waive your payments, but we can work with you to defer your payments until you're at a time that's more comfortable for you. So all you have to do is reach out to us, and we work with people on a regular basis on this type of situation.
Is it?
Okay. Any other comments? Journal comments? Okay, Lynn, any emails?
No, sir, I do not have any additional member comment emails.
I will agree with Joe. Joe Comation has kind of commented on a few occasions. It's pretty basic. I think you'll hear that from the board too, but it's, we need you to vote. Get to your neighbors and friends, and we need everyone to vote. We know that there's not a huge number of choices on the ballot, but we need to get 33% on the first pass and 25% of on the second pass of people that are going to vote, because if we don't get that, we don't get quorum. We have to extend the election, and it just costs us money, and it just creates kind of chaos in your POA. So let your neighbors know, even though the choices are limited, it is just as critical that you vote in this election as you have in any other election, because if we don't vote, we can't get the people in effectively, and it'll just kind of create a chaotic mess. And to fix that mess, the POA is just going to have to pay out more money. So I'm taking that from Joe Comation. I think I addressed it decently. Okay, any other comments? Renee's yours was great. And Renee says it's a chance to get out of the house, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Good excuse to go to the mailbox. That's a great point.
Presently, the HOA is closed. There's really no way to drop off payments, so please just mail them on in, and we'll accept them there. And if you're on auto pay, I believe you guys can confirm. But I think once you go on auto pay, it continues. It doesn't stop. You don't have to renew it every year. If you don't have to renew it every year, I'm in trouble because I haven't done it for a long time, and I'm sure they would come get me. Okay, that's it for member comments. Let's move on. I'm not hearing any more. Lynn, do you want to talk about the corporate?
Sure.
Session?
Today's executive session? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Today's executive session was called to order at 2:03 p.m. Items discussed on the agenda included 2 member-related items. There were 3 legal matters discussed. There were several third-party contract agreement discussion items and 3 personnel matters discussed. The meeting concluded at 5:44 p.m.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. Association reports, Eric?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. We've been staring it into our monitor since 2 o'clock this afternoon. So as everybody knows, the city put out orders, basically stay-at-home orders extending through May 6th, which essentially keeps the POA closed, our doors closed to the public. But we are very much here to continue our normal operations. We have member services staff here in the building between 8 and 4. They all have their masks on. They're all 6 feet apart from each other, but the front door is locked to the public. And so it's a very unusual situation, but we're adapting to it. They're actually very busy. This is a pretty busy month for us. And if you have any needs, if you need to register a vehicle, a boat, renew your RFID, any kind of member question that you would have any other time of the year, call us. We're here. We were working remotely last month until the order got extended until May 6th. We're busy enough now that we have, just like the city next door has people working behind their locked front door, we are doing the same, providing our essential services. And so we're doing everything normally. We just can't deal with members face to face. We have adapted many of our processes so that they can be done virtually by mail, email, telephone. So whatever you need, call us and we'll try to accommodate you either by mail or email. We've cut back on a few things. We're doing a little, we're not doing appeals right now. We postponed all our committee meetings. Hopefully we'll be open for business in a month or two, and we'll get back to those normal things, but we've postponed a lot of events. There's a running list of events that have been canceled on the website. There's a list of services we can provide to you virtually, also on the website. We're updating our website. So that's the weekly newsletter and the website. We have a COVID-19 page. Those are the best sources for you to see what's happening and what changes we've had to make in this situation. We have ongoing construction projects. As always, commercial construction in particular is considered an essential function. So we have continued to work on the lodge and on Canyon Lake Drive North. That project is continuing. We've had several rain delays, including this week, but that project is probably still going to finish as scheduled. So you'll see those people working at the lodge and on Canyon Lake Drive. Golf Course Lake, same thing. We've had some rain delays there, but that project is progressing and it's actually a good time to do it since the golf course is now closed by the county. Official order of the county, every golf course in the county is closed until June 19th. Not sure if all of you have heard that, but every private and public golf course in the county is closed until middle of June. Let's see what else. We also have the pool project is ongoing, and obviously our pool cannot be open, so it's a good time for us to finish this rehabilitation project. That project has also had some rain delays, but looks like we're on track to open or be complete around April 24th, and that's before we will be able to open to the public. So the timing was at least a decent for that. I want to touch on our election. We do have only 2 candidates running, but as everyone has said several times, we still need you to open your ballot, check 2 boxes, and return your ballot. If we don't make a quorum, it just costs us more money. So even though there's 2 candidates for 2 spaces, we do need you to vote and return your ballot. Looks like we will have another virtual meeting. Our next board meetings, executive and open session board meetings, will be May 5th. And looks like we'll be doing it in this forum. It's a pretty successful forum. I think at one point we had 46 people on this, which is more than we'd have in a normal board meeting. So a couple people made a comment that this might be the way to do it in the future. It's definitely been interesting. And really all I can say is pay attention to our website, pay attention to our social media posts. This is a great time to sign up for direct payments where you don't have to come see us. A lot of people drop off their payments or come in to make payments. Since we're closed right now, this is a good time to set up auto pay. Take a look at the website, and if you need anything, email us, go to our email directory, call us. We're here to continue doing business. It's a little unusual, but we're managing to do it. So if you have any questions about what's happening or how to do something you would normally do here in the building, just give us a call. And I think that's all I have this time. I appreciate everybody coming.
Okay, corporate counsel. Thank you, Eric.
John, I do want to say ACC John says the ACC is working permits and planning and compliance, and the ACC committee are working on permits. Susan would like to say we're opening registrations on the new year on April 20th for boats, etc. And let's see what else. I think that's good. I'll let the board pick up the rest. Back to you, Dale.
Okay, we're on corporate counsel. Howard?
Sean,
Teresa?
let me make sure Sean's unmuted.
Oh, Sean, okay.
I think he is muted. He is muted. Still there, Sean?
I am. Thanks, Eric.
Okay.
So we don't have any specific update other than to let all you folks know that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the court systems. The civil court system is effectively shut down except for some very limited issues like restraining orders. So that is having an effect on some of the association's legal matters, but there's a lot that we can get done behind the scenes to make sure that we don't miss much time as far as your pending cases are concerned. And with that, that's all I have.
That's all I have. Staff reports are as written. Eric, that's what you just refer to the document, right?
Yep.
Okay. Board comments. One, who would like to start?
I'll start. Yeah, first I want to really extend a sincere gratitude and appreciation to our staff. Eric and Lynn and everybody in the office has done just an absolutely exemplary job in trying to transition from a normal day in the office to a completely unnormal day of trying to still conduct business and keep us all connected and creating things like this meeting so that it can still happen and, you know, seamlessly where we don't have issues. You know, really my hat's off to you. And I think that, you know, there'll probably be more challenges coming up, and I have no doubt that you guys will tackle them with just as much effort and ability that you've done so far. So, you know, all the staff, there's people that are out there that are working, there's some that aren't, but, you know, the people that are working, again, hats off to them to come in and take care of the things that we need for our association. Yeah, this is a unique time for us, and you know, as we've already discussed, there's going to be events that are canceled, and we don't know how long that's going to go on. Some of those events might be able to be rescheduled, some of them will not, and you know, probably looming ahead of us is the Fiesta Days. And while the staff and the board is going to probably wait as long as we can possibly wait to get a confirmation that either we will or won't continue with Fiesta Day, you know, the writing kind of on the wall with a lot of places being told that are closed through June sort of indicates that it might not happen. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully things will turn for the better, and we're going to get hopefully a Fiesta Day, because it would be a nice thing to be able to start off our year if we can find our way to getting that kind of an event to happen as we get to the end of this crisis. Bob and Carrie, appreciate your taking us to other places in the backgrounds of your Zoom. Yeah, you made it a little interesting. Carrie's got us in San Francisco, although every time you lean back, it seems like there's somebody peering over your shoulder. And Bob's sitting in Hawaii, and that's a pleasure to look at too. So thanks for being a part of the meeting and bringing that to us. I want to note on Joe Kamasian's comments, and for those who are seeing and not those that especially aren't, we do have an election. It's coming up. It's important, and really important in the sense that we really need to make sure that people still get out and vote. A lot of people may think that there's not a reason to vote because there's two candidates running for two spots, but the POA rules say that we have to have a quorum of 25% vote in order to consider our election completed. So even though it may seem like you don't have a reason to vote, you know, I think now more than ever we really do, because if we don't have a successful election, it could cost us association more money. So the members should hopefully be cognizant of that and get out there, send your ballots in once you receive them, and I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Jeannie, you're usually on my left, so you'd probably next. Or Jeannie, do you have any comments? Are you muted?
Jeannie, you're unmuted. I don't know why you keep getting muted, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't know, Eric. I'm going to start getting kind of paranoid here.
No, it's not intentional, I swear.
No, I know. No, I just want to echo a lot of what Tom said. Thanks to Eric and Steve and Lynn and Carrie and Corey and Susan and everybody that's just above and beyond right now, making sure that we're still up and operating, and vote, vote, vote. So thank you.
Okay. How about Chris? Do you want to go on?
Sure. I want to echo what Tom said and offer my great thanks to Eric and the staff for the things that they're doing. I'm very impressed. They're working hard to take advantage of all the federal programs that are now available to help organizations. We are a private nonprofit business. our community, and so we're eligible for those funds, and we're working to attract those. I appreciate the flexibility that they've exercised in many of our operations so that we can continue to serve the needs of our members. I think that we're very, very fortunate to have the staff that we have. I appreciate the work that's being done to protect our staff as much as we possibly can, and to help them through this time as we are all working through it ourselves. Been a number of people have talked about the dues increase and want to stop the dues increase. We have to look at our organization, look at our community in the long term. There are very, very serious deliberations that go on every year about by our finance committee about our budget and about our reserves. And the reserves are about setting money aside for the future so that we can continue to take care of our community. Very pleased at how well our community is being taken care of during this time. But we have to continue to build our finances. I'm so pleased that we're able to offer to anybody that needs financial assistance a program that hopefully will work for you so that we can mitigate that short-term impact without affecting the long-term need that we have here to continue to fund our organization. We need everybody's patience and we need everybody's cooperation. Of course, we need your votes, but patience and cooperation is big. And the whole thing about staying away from each other, separating ourselves, not getting together in groups, following the rules is all about protecting all of us. And for all of you that are helping out, thank you so much. For those that are not helping out, I just wish you catch on to how important this is. Maybe we can just be one of those communities that doesn't have to go through a peak because we've taken such good care of keeping ourselves apart and the virus hasn't been able to find its way around our community. I appreciate on Facebook, I read Facebook every night. I appreciate all of you that get on Facebook and offer good responses to the harsh comments that are made. And it seems to me there's more and more of that, and that's the way that this community stands and builds support and a one community sense that we have. So thank you very much for doing that. Last thing I'll just say is stay safe and be well, and let's all take care of each other.
Okay, Jim, any comments?
Well, everything that the three board members have said, most everything I could say, and they said it very elegantly. You really do have to thank our staff, and Eric, I know he's running all over the place. I've never seen anything like this in my life. But anyway, we'll continue to move forward. And the most important thing, as far as the election, I think everybody's mentioned it, is get out and vote. It's going to make it a lot easier for the community, and hopefully we'll save money without having to go to an extended election. So anyway, thank you for viewing this tonight, and all be safe. And yes, be safe. That's the most important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. My comments will basically kind of echo Jim's. The first thing is to be safe. Follow the social distancing, follow the recommendations. When the stay-at-home orders in place, follow the stay-at-home orders and go out for kind of essential things and don't be out running around. And what's going to happen is it looks like the curve is actually going down finally. They think that the coronavirus is, because of the stay-in-place orders, is actually not expanding at near the rate that it has been over the first month of it, and definitely not as bad as it has in the past. So as time goes by, the community and the leaders will come out and say, hey, we can allow a little bit you out of the house a little bit more, and you can have a little bit more social activity. But when those new standards come out, stay with the new standards. They're going to keep everybody safe. The government's going to want to allow everybody to have a little bit more of a life. But when they do, they're going to come out and say, yeah, you can have more of a life, but hey, you got to wear a mask when you're out, and you still got to keep your distance. So please pay attention to what the government says as far as social distancing and staying healthy. It'll get us all out to normal lives at a quicker rate. One of the things you have to know is the POA has no medical experts. We don't want to pretend, or we don't want to give you any direction that we have any medical expertise. When we make rules and we make these decisions, most of the feedback comes through the county or through the state or the city. We're just kind of moving their guidelines along. So please, if you're looking for guidelines on what needs to be safe, if you go online to the California COVID-19 site, it'll give you some direction. There's the county site that'll help you. So there are places for you to learn about safe distancing. Also, follow the law. The laws are changing in this period. They're putting these laws in place to protect society. So if they make a law, please follow the law and don't violate the law. It's really for the benefit of all the other members of the community. We are going through some uncertain times. I know that we talked about the money a little bit, but we not only do we collect dues, but we collect a lot of money for fees for things that go on in the community. Well, we are not going to be collecting a lot of those fees in the next couple of months. So it's going to put a strain on our budget plan. We are probably going to have a lot of members who won't be able to pay their dues. We're probably going to have a lot of people who aren't golf because the golf course is closed. All that's a reduction in income to your organization that you belong to, called the POA. And as we go through these uncertain times, we need to make sure we have the reserves available to keep us through those times. Also, as we do this, there are also going to be members who are going to be hit harder by this coronavirus economy than others. Those members that have the funding, they pay their dues, they go in, they get that money into the organization. The organization, at least at this point, has enough funds so we can work with those people who can't make their payments. So if you're struggling and you need a couple of months of deferred payments, come in and talk to us, show us that it's a real need, and we can work with you so we can all work together to come out the other side and again continue to make Canyon Lake just a wonderful place to live. So please, I know it's hard times for everybody. Sometimes we come out with directions that seem uncertain. We're just trying to keep people safe and trying to keep us moving ahead so that the community can continue to be a safe place for all the members to stay. That's pretty much all I have to say. So anyway,
Hey,
that's
Dale,
it for me. Yes.
we skipped over staff reports. Bill Jordan's been sitting here patiently to give a community patrol report. And if you'd like to do that, it shouldn't take long.
Okay, we can do staff reports. I didn't see Bill's name. I just saw it as written, so it was not broken up. Bill, welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, I would just like to cover the current status of the community to make sure everyone knows what's going on with the amenities. So I'll just run down the list very quickly. The lodge and the restaurants are closed. The country club and restaurants are closed. The golf course is closed. Currently, pedestrians are allowed only. No golf carts and no pets. The tennis courts are closed. The pickleball courts are closed. Happy Camp is closed. If you do have questions about Happy Camp, please refer your questions to the operations department. Now, the things that are still open are the lake itself. The dog parks are still open, so you can take your dogs out to exercise. All parks are still open, but the restrooms will remain closed, with the exception of the North Ski parking lot. Most parks, though, have a portalet in place, so you can still go to the park to enjoy yourself and exercise. And the very last thing is that community patrol, we remain fully staffed and fully available. And regarding the COVID-19 precautions, community patrol should be in full compliance. We have masks or face coverings and we have gloves. If you happen to see anyone that is not in compliance, please call my office or the dispatch line and ask for a supervisor. And that's it.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, thank you.
Sorry to miss you. Usually you have your own little space on the agenda. We appreciate it because we know at this time the community patrols doing an incredible job in this ever-changing environment. So we just want to say appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Architectural appeals. Right, tonight we don't have any of those, so we're not going to break for that. Our next meeting date will be Tuesday, May 5th at 2 o'clock for the executive session. Tuesday, May 5th at 6 o'clock for the regular session. I'm not sure where we're going to have it, but it's fairly likely it's going to be a repeat of this Zoom session. I'm glad we got some comments about how great this seemed to work out. I'd prefer to be able to look at each other, but maybe we can do a Zoom with the kind of combined Zoom with our normal meeting. So when we all do get together, the board maybe can be up front and we can still continue with the Zoom format. We shall see. It's going to be a new world, and we'll do what we can. So, okay, that's all for me. Do I hear a motion?
Move to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jeannie, did you get muted again?
Oh, she did. I think she's doing it to herself.
I think so. Trouble is,
No,
yeah.
Eric does it. I pushed a button or something. Who knows?
Oh, okay. Okay.
I didn't want to get yelled at again for rattling paper.
Okay.
Is that an all in favor to adjourn?
Mhm.
Yeah, all in favor. I'm a yes.
All right. That ends the board meeting tonight. Normally, we have the opportunity to come up and talk to your board members up at front. I'm not sure how well that's going to work today, but thank you all for coming, and we'll be ending the Zoom meeting soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.